So here we go for a new rather spontaneous video in which I was talking to you about the software interface. It repeats itself a little with a video I made the other time. But I think we never know too much to be comfortable with FreeCAD. So we're going to watch a little bit of how we can customize the interface. How can we just get help online? Let's take a look at the preferences. What can we quickly fix? Change the language. Little things like that. I don't have time to go completely into detail. But the point is clearly to show you a little bit more where it is that you have to look, so that you're a little self-sufficient. We also looked at the extension manager, so the add-on manager, the notification window when there are errors. We want to go back to English. So that's the purpose of this video. We want to talk to you a little bit about the interface. So that you know, but in the idea that you know where to go. Look what when you have a problem. Also the different display windows, the various panels, with error reports if you create more than one document. In fact, how can you display this? So that's a little bit the idea of the video. So we can really fly over the software. So a new little video on FreeCAD 1, the latest version. So the purpose of the video, it's to gain autonomy with the software. So not necessarily the CAD design, but already just the software. FreeCAD is a very complete software which can be configured, I would say, in an infinity of different ways. That make all sense according to the needs and tastes we have bought. And in fact, I realize, looking at your feedback, that there are some people who are a little disturbed. Because the interface is not exactly like the one they have at the time of installation. So now I'm going to try a little bit to explain. The philosophy of software, which is therefore very flexible, then it can be a little disturbing. So here, I've been on purpose for you. The fullness of what I usually set for me, so that it looks like what you normally have. After a fresh installation, all new. So you have this boot menu who says welcome to FreeCAD. Then you can choose the language. I'm staying in English. It allows me to be better connected with the right terms when I do online searches. It's always more documented in English, but you can quite easily pass in French or in German. There's no problem. I'm not going to click. There you go. That's really all the languages you want. So here we go, we stay in English. Then now you have the choice of interface. In fact, you can clear up if you prefer dark. It's very fashionable. I think it's nice. But in the end, after trying, finally I prefer the classic mode. It's a little classic. It's a little ugly. It looks like the old CATIA V5, but to work, I think it's almost the least tiring. So once you've chosen this, there's also the Unity system. So now, I like to go in metric small room. So in millimeter and millimeter, minute, because I do a little machining too, so I like that the units are matched. Actually, with my little ones. My little robot, my little boot bag. So that's it. And navigational style. So I use the standard CAD style. So to turn the room, I press both on the central wheel of the mouse and the right button. So that's it. That's it. After that, you arrive in this nice menu. There are examples. You can create a new file. Perfect. So you can either start from there, or actually simply create a new file from this icon up here. So now I'm going to repeat myself in relation to the old videos. But then we find the navigation cube, the marker. So the navigation cube, it allows you to spin your model, to align it directly with a chosen orientation. It's very practical. Important areas. So now, the heart of this video, where do we have to go watch? Here on the left, so in the standard configuration, you have this window called Model. That's where the building tree will come. And then you have the task window. This is where you will have the interaction with the functions and tools you have selected. So as a standard, you have this double interface here with the tabs you can select. So this is the standard interface. So here, I'm with the workshop party design. The most classic for building parts. So now, if you want to start working, you first create a body. And what's going on? Body, he came into your file. So now you see it's grey. There's a small landmark that's linked to your body. So there, you'll actually be able to select an element of the marker and start working. For example, the XY plan. So now I've changed without doing a workshop on purpose. So I'll be back in design. So once you have selected, for example, the XY plan, you can create a sketch on it. So here, in the Tasks tab, it opens up the tools of the sketch. Here you see in your model that there is a sketch that has appeared. And then we're going to do something very simple. A poor rectangle that's 20 by 20. It's very practical in the mercantile. Now you can enter the dimensions directly. There you go. So it's a square. And let's admit you've finished what you want to draw. You're shutting down. And you find then, in your building tree, the body with the marker. As you can now hide, and the sketch you just created. So who's good on the XY plan? And that sketch, now you can do something about it. You can, for example, make it an extrusion with the pad tool. There you go. So right now we've really just started construction. A very simple building element. I personally, at last, there are different pedagogies. I'm really from the learning by doing school. So we can do all the theories we want. But what I advise you to do is try. Interact. Do your experiments. That's how you learn the best. Because we can give you a very nice course with very beautiful theories. But if you don't practice, you don't integrate anything. So that's really what I advise you. Come on, little step by step. Try this, that's important. Or you want to directly design an airplane wing gauge type with superfacial components, optimized, calculated by finite elements, etc. Start already by modeling a poor little cube with 3 holes of teeth. A hold for your closet, or a clip for your awning. Or things really very, 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 very simple to gradually get into the subject. For example, a small hook for your clothes. Or a little decoration for your Christmas tree. It doesn't matter. Do what you like, what you want, but always start by doing something simple. Besides, even when you start a more serious subject, I advise you. I'm gonna do a video on this again. I always advise you first to make a first model a little ugly, a little bit to the rake. Very simple. Already to test the first elements you have in mind. For me, it's kind of a design principle. We're already going to the essentials, and then we refine later. As a result, for me, the control of the software is the same. We're already starting from the base, and then we go into detail. I'm not turning my room around, because some people don't like it at all. Apparently, it's a little bit. They don't feel well watching my room turn on the screen. So that's it. Now the purpose of this video is a little bit to show you where to watch what. Now, if we try here. Let's say you want to do something that doesn't work, that you have a problem. You take that face. We're going to make a mistake on purpose. An unclosed sketch consisting of 2 segments is made. I don't know what to do. Then let's say now we're gonna do. Let's just say we'd like to extrude this. It's not working. You have a notification here. Pad wire not closed. So this is in the standard interface. Now you have a notification that appears. So if we want to find those error messages actually, you can go click there. You have the notifications. Now, if we're going to solve this mistake, we're going to close. Try to close this sketch. There you go. No, no, no. It's closed. So from the Task tab, every time you have to close the sketch. Here, you select your sketch. And hop. Now it's okay. And then there, in fact, all the mistakes that have happened, you always find them. Actually, before that, you can see it, actually, in the report panel. Actually, so here, you can still display it. Except, well, they eat a little bit of the interface. As a result, now they've done the system of notification there, which is very good. That being said, it brings us precisely to one of the places to look at art. So, FreeCAD is based on the Qt library to make the graphical interface. And as a result, there are a lot of items to pick up in the drop-down menus.d. It's really a classic software, actually. In general, in fact, we have small icons in the software. We have little design icons in the menus here. But if you want all the tools available, they are often all present, in fact, in the drop-down menu. So in general, there are more functions in the menus, more details in drop-down menus than in icons. So we're not always going to get in there. But sometimes if you see someone doing something where you don't know where it came from, it can in fact typically come out of those drop-down menus. For example, here you see creating toothed wheels, or in fact small bars. So there's a lot of other things to go look at. So there we were on the display questions. So you have the signs. So I was telling you, there's the report board. There's the panel with the selections that I almost never use. In fact, it can be useful for debugging. Depends in some cases, yes. So now you see exactly. Actually, there you see. You've selected an edge. There's the face. There's another face. So I haven't named my file yet. That's why it's unscathed body. So it's the first body, and then after that, the faces are numbered. Face 5. And then you know actually what function it comes from. So no one. It allows us to deconstruct, in fact, the construction you have in front of you. You can also select a top vertex, so it brings you some more information. It can be useful. Personally, at first, it's a little superfluous. Same for the report window. And then after, the last window we haven't seen yet, actually. It's the Python console that also appears under a table. Now that's more useful then than to do them to you macros. Actually, you see, in fact, all the orders you give, in fact, to the software. So it's working out for you, actually, the API. So it lets you know what's going on. It's really behind, but this isn't really for beginners. So we're going to shut this down. And here we find ourselves with the 100% classic interface. So here I created a face, a sketch on that face. If I don't want it, I can just delete it, del, either with the mouse or in fact with the keyboard, pressing the del key. So we've been talking now here about the sign display preferences. There are also the toolbars which you can select. Here, you can also select the workshops directly, instead of taking the drop-down menu if you prefer. So it does exactly the same thing. It's just different interfaces to interact on the same elements of the software, depending on the software development history and preferences of each. For the display side, there is another element that is interesting. Here, it's in the Windows menu. You can actually arrange your different files in tiles, or in a cascade as you prefer. After that, you can run it in full screen mode, but within the software. I always say it like that. And then with the tabs, it creates a new file, it creates a new tab. And then you have your room 1, your room 2, which appears there. And then you sail from one to the other. That way it's very practical. Then, from time to time, it can be pretty good, actually, to have them side by side to see. So now I'm on this new room. We're going to create a new body. And then, in this new body, we'll add a piece of cube. And there you go. So it's 2 different rooms. You can show all this about it. Hop, you can go back to full screen mode, one room, the other room. There you go. I hope it helps you a little. It's trying to show you actually all the different things you can see. Because in fact, at the end, everyone configures the software the way he prefers. It gives you the impression that it's always different, that you don't have exactly the right version. But that's not necessarily the case. It's just customization. So now we're going to watch these customization stories a little more. So here we were really on the standard interface. That's how it happens. The icons are here, but you can move them. Then arrange them, in fact, according to the frequency of use. So I find it quite logical, in fact, to have here the function of creating bodies, sketches, reference elements, sub-objects. And liaison, actually. The clones, the building elements, so the plans, the construction lines. Benchmarks, new reference systems. So that's really, we're going to say, pretty root features. After that, we have the basic features with, here in yellow, adding material dot. Here, in blue and red, material removal. So they are essentially, in fact, the same functions. But once you create, from the sketch you add matter. And once we take off the already existing volume. After that, we have the Boolean operations, which we also find in the other workshop. The workshop is leaving. After that, we have the mirror functions, the repetition functions, the circular repetition functions, composite functions. And then, after that, we have these little functions, too. So, who are the rays, the chamfers, the body? And then, the creation of thicknesses. So I think it's pretty logical to put it that way. So you can just put it up here. But you can also put it on the side if you like. It's really up to you. And then, do whatever you want. Once you set it up, when you restart FreeCAD the next time, it's exactly the configuration you did last time. So, if there's something wrong with you, after that, we have to get everything back together, start all over again. And then you do it again. It's okay. You have to do your experiments. While we're now on the interface part 2, we're going to go in preference. So, right now, we're not going to see everything in detail because it's a huge menu where there are 10 dial 1 settings. I'll let you really have fun testing the different things that are presented. So, there are general adjustments, like the language, the system of unity, the size of the icons. Typically, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put the icons a little bigger. It's better for you, so you see a little better what's going on. After, generally speaking, I'm still changing a little thing. So it's in the display. I increase the thickness of the lines, and then the size of the peaks. So that's parts and parts design. And then 2 here with the SketchUp. So you see, there are really general parameters at the beginning. And then, after that, there are things to settle, in fact, depending on each workshop. So I'll let you discover all this. If you've done anything, then you want to go back, you can laugh at everything here. So, you need a little confirmation. We're not going to do it right now. Anyway, we didn't set up much. So then, I just increased the size. And then at the level of the 3 display. So, right now, we've also got, well, that wasn't resealed. We've got the anti-aliasing that's been activated, actually. So if that's not activated, you're actually going to have lines in stairwell mode. There you go. What can I show you that can help you a lot? So, there's a good reflex to have. It's to read the little labels that appear when you're above the icon. It gives you the name of the function. And then, a simple explanation, in fact, of what it's going to do or how to use it. So sometimes you don't understand too much. If you need to select the items and then click on the tool. So in general, it's all well explained. So, for example, the extrusion function is the pad tool. And then it's simple and clear, pad selected sketch. So that means it's extracting a sketch. So we're going to create a sketch with a sketch here. So hop, that's it. Hop. There you go. Let's close this. Here, it's fun. There are my tools that have escaped. I don't know what I did. So let's test this all. Hop. There you go. So you select your sketch. Besides, it takes your sketch out. So that's what it says. If you do material removal with pocket tool, pocket, pop. So it creates a pocket with the selected sketch. So if we're now removing the extrusion we've done before, we can do the same thing in the opposite direction. So we create a pocket. There you go. Quite simply. And then, as a result, it appears in the construction tree. So here too, now for me, it was self-evident. But you see, in fact, the construction of your room actually is a chain of functions, actually. You create first volume. And then, after starting on the basis of this volume, you're going to add operations. And then, little by little, it's building your room, actually. And you'll find the history of your construction here. So, here's the other things to know. So now we've seen the preferences. From the View menu, you can select the different view modes. Perspective or spelling. Perspective. Except if you do architecture or design. I advised you to work in perspective mode. It's a personal choice, so there are all kinds of modes. An important element is the landmark. You can always really display the reference point of your room. So, it's 0 wa. It lets you really know where 0 is actually in the room you're using. If you do construction on a general basis, it's not very important. However, if you do machining, it's important to know actually where you put your room. So, because that landmark actually it's going to give, in fact, really the absolute reference for machining operations. So now, we don't see it very well. If I move the body, we see it. So I move the body. So you see actually the body reference, body 0 actually, it's moved in relation to the absolute marker software. Why did I tira? Aldwin White at shops I. So sometimes it can be useful. So sometimes it's pretty good to show it. You have a tool to display cuts. So sometimes it's interesting. So here, I'll let you find out. There are no essential elements practice in there, because we can spend hours to look at every detail. But that's not necessarily the purpose of this video. In the Tools menu, you have some tools to take an image, load an image, do a little customization. There's an important element. It's the DOI add-on manager. That's where you'll be able to install additional workshops or macros. So FreeCAD is a completely modular software. That's what makes him so powerful. So there's a lot of extra workshops actually, which are not in the basic installation. Typically, the assembly shop at one, I'm still using it. There's the workshop for the Skimonland. So now it's in the standard. The workshop for the looting of sheet metal, but before that, it was a separate workshop that had to be installed. What can I show you as a nice workshop? There is the workshop of. So we're gonna do this. For example, the STEM5 project. It's a kind of Lego to print yourself. A totally open source project, very friendly. So there's a specific workshop here, which was created by the author of the project. And then thanks to this workshop, actually, you can create standardized pieces. According to its standard, you can edit directly, actually, the parameters of the room. You can build, actually, your model with Statalia. It's pretty funny. So I invite you to discover this. I don't have any other interests. TTs and your curiosity in this story. Just to show you that you can create your own workshop if you want, specific to your project. So that's pretty nice. So if you want to install an additional workshop, so how's it going? We're coming back here. So we're going to the add-on manager, and then we're going to get a STEMFI workbench, STEMFI workshop. So now you see I've already installed it. You have a pretty little description of what you can do anything with this workshop, who is the author, all the details. And then after that you install tight. If you want to uninstall it, you can disable it. We can check it out if there's an update. So then obviously I'm not up to date. So we're going to do this together. So we're going to control the updates. So I have 3 updates, 4 updates, 5 updates to do. So we're going to apply the updates. So this is the curve workshop, fasten workshop, Rodente workshop, the optical workshop, the STEMFI workshop. And then the cheap metal workshop. So now we're closing. And then, important thing, every time you've done an update of the workshops, we need to restart FreeCAD. So, you're having a restart now. It's closing. So now we're going to re-register. Too bad, too bad, too bad. Hop, here we go again. There, FreeCAD has restarted. So we're just going to set it up in the right size for the picture shot. So here we'll meet again. In the boot menu. So here, you see, there's a little option. If you don't want to find this automatic boot menu every time, we're creating an empty file. Snooze. And then we're going to go on with our stories. What didn't I show you? So there's all the workshops that we can install and then find out. So you need a little cursor. Another very useful tool for you beginners, because it's very well done, actually. There's this great tool, ? So don't hesitate to use it, because, in fact, it brings you directly on the FreeCAD website, .t. actually the documentation. So you can click actually on any echo and then hop, boom. Now you're falling, so on part design body. And then it explains to you actually what does this icon match? Then you find in fact a lot of information. So actually, when you're a little confused, don't hesitate to use this help, because in fact you're going to find it all by yourself. Full of information on these different tools, actually. So in your self-learning, because that's the point, don't hesitate to use it, because even me, which uses the software, for 8 years now, I'm still on the train to discover things I didn't know. As it evolves a lot, he's evolved a lot. And there's a lot of things which have been improved, actually. We're all over the place in the process of discovering what's new. So actually, I'd say it's more an attitude to be adopted with FreeCAD. It's true that it's software, which is super powerful, which is monstrous. When we start, it's a little bit impressive, because there's really a lot of stuff. And then we knew how to do it. Lots of things before on other software, and then we don't find ourselves there. And it's a mess. So actually, we have to, in general, you have to be curious. And then you don't have to get mad. Because of my experience with FreeCAD, we can really do that. Do everything. There's absolutely nothing that I've done before on a professional CAD, very expensive, that I haven't finally not able to do under FreeCAD. So cool, take the time to understand how it works. We have to. Just looking into it, take the time to start by doing things simply. It is also not necessary to not be afraid to do it again. There's a lot of people who believe that when they drew a small model for 5 minutes, they've got the falter. To do it again, 0, because in theory, the dark, anything can be taken over and everything. If you have drawn shit, it's not well thought out. Misconceived, it's still the same. Simpler to throw everything away and to start over again once you know what you want to do, how you want to do it, and what you need. I don't know. Where exactly is it coming from? This idea that we have to be able to always resume all to infinity what we did once. Me, my way of doing things, I think after that, once we've got a little bit of hindsight, I like it more often. Redraw the pieces from 0 wall. That's why. That the problem topological, the big FreeCAD bug. But we also find in other software never really bothered me. Because if you know what you want to draw, how clear it is in your head, once everything is clear in your head. There's never coins impossible to draw, or impossible for redesigning, even if it took you a quarter of an hour. To draw a piece and at the end you're stuck, and you have to do it again. It's still not the end of the world. Or even for projects more complicated, at the end, sometimes it's easier, cleaner to start from scratch and then to do the right thing to do once we know how we have to do them. So here you go, that's my philosophy. Everyone shares not that philosophy. But here's a little bit. What I could tell you in this video. I hope that it's a bit of an informal video. It's like that. I hope that she'll do you a favor. Still, I've been able to teach you 2, 3 things. And there you go. Here, I hope you liked it. This video. Don't hesitate to give me feedback, what you like, what's bothering you, which is misperceived, wrongly done, which is not clear, the subject you'd like I'll talk to you. There, I noticed, following the first publications that I've done, that people are looking for more simple videos which allow to start quickly to do little things. So I'll try to develop this kind of content now. If you have no idea in 3D design DAC, I invite you to see the playlist I created, the fundamentals 3D modeling.g1. In this playlist I really explain principles 3D modeling very simply, from zero actually. Simply, what is it? A 3D model, how we represent him, the computer, projection concepts, the coordinates of the point. In all 3 dimensions, the different basic elements, an edge, a summit, one face, really basic vocabularies. Basic things to learn. What's a sketch? So a sketch in the plan. How you really create, very simply, a 3D form. From a sketch, so with extrusion, and then the revolution, or the profile tool, the operations of the coup, which add matter, operations that take away matter, Boolean functions, rehearsals, asymmetry, special tools. As tiredness, drilling, creation of chamfer, and then finally, what's not basic modeling, so it really is. An introduction super fast, actually, to the DACA, so don't hesitate if you're totally beginner. I hope it brings you. Actually, basic concepts, or in any case, you will make them revised. The purpose, it's not to do a formal course. Ex cathedra, worthy of a great school. It's really going quickly, right to the purpose, so I hope that it can doing you a favor. There you go. A little word concerning my chain, thank you. For all who started to follow me, and then who support me on the chain, I'm very surprised. Of the proper reception of my videos, you will have noticed I publish everything in bilingual, actually. The original video is still in French, and then I translate it in English to be able to touch as many people as possible how we really are on a niche subject. I don't think so. So that we can focus in a single language. So I developed my little process of production to try to do that as simply as possible. So if by chance you come across, if you are French speaking, and that you fall on a video in French, don't hesitate to watch on my channel to find the equivalent in the other language. So like this. You know about it. Not knowing if the public was the majority English or French, I thought I'd stop it after a while, but what I see, it's just about that. 40% of my subscribers are French speaking based on statistics Google, and 55% English speaking, so in fact I'm going to go on. Just like that, clearly it works very well, and I'm not going to have fun. To make 2 chains different, it's too much work. Management to be carried out, it's not worth it, between the different networks, Instagram, TikTok, and company. I don't have time to deal with all this, so I'm going to go on just like that, and what I have too found. It's because you like it better. Videos which are a little bit spontaneous, so I'm going to try to develop that style from time to time. I think it's necessary. Even a little bit preparing the topic in a little way more formal, but in the end apparently you like, which is especially simple and fast, usable quickly, so I'm gonna try. I'll try To develop this style to the maximum, I can assure you, even if that's what it's all about. It seems simple and spontaneous, it's not easy. To be produced, it's a big investment. Time who doesn't actually have no profitability, if not to satisfy my curiosity on the functioning social network. So if you want, let it go on, that it lasts. Thank you in advance. To subscribe to you, to share, to support benevolently and constructive the chain, and if it doesn't suit you, go your way. Thank you in advance.